So listen, I don't know if you know, but it's America's birthday on Thursday, and so that was the birthday song to America. We are 248 years old. So anyway, I just was driving to church this morning, and I was just thankful that we live in a country where there's not facial recognition cameras catching people who are going to church that are going to throw them in prison, which happens in some countries, by the way. The worst thing that we got to worry about this 4th of July is traffic. And 2 well-done hot dogs, which I'm like Davion, there is not such a thing, man, not at all. And so, aren't you grateful that we get to live in this country? I'm grateful. Hey, I'm grateful for you all. Thanks for being here. And I say this every week to our first-time guests, but you wouldn't know that because this is your first time, you know. But I always say, I'm so glad you're here. Our team is so glad you're here. All of our volunteers are so glad you're here. And we really, really, really are. My name is Joel. I am the campus pastor here. And after my talk, I'm always out in our lobby in the back left corner. And if you're a first-time guest, that welcome home card in the back of your seats, if you didn't turn that in with the giving a moment ago, just bring that to me after the service. I just want to say hey to you and give you free stuff, okay? Even if you're like, I am never coming back because the lights went out. But regardless, okay, I want to give you free stuff, whether we got lights or whether you're coming back or not. And so if you're a first-time guest, thank you so much for being here. If you're joining us online, you're probably out of town for 4th of July week, and you're probably somewhere where it's 70 degrees with no humidity. There's no traffic, and we are so happy for you. But can we make some noise for our online family? Just welcome them in. You guys are amazing. Hey, so to set up this new series that we're starting today called Leftovers, just a quick question. Who has leftover night in your house? Who's got leftover night in your house? Okay. Lots of you got those mystery things in your Tupperwares in the back of the fridge, right? My dad always said that, listen, son, leftovers are good. You just got to put enough cheese on it before you put it in the microwave, and it tastes brand new. How many of you know cheese fixes everything? Now, this may be a controversial take, but I think some leftovers are better than like fresh food. Anybody else think this? Oh, yeah. Listen, my wife's spaghetti, you put it in the fridge for like 3 days. You let it marinate for a while, and that first bite after 3 days, I can't even sit at the table. Like I do like a Pentecostal lap around the table. I like leftovers, okay? And so in our house, whenever it's leftover night, it's like a hodgepodge. And so like you may have, tacos and leftover spaghetti and leftover cinnamon rolls all at the same time. Does this sound like your guys' house? And so it's a hodgepodge. Everybody say it's a hodgepodge. Okay, this series is kind of like a hodgepodge called Leftovers, okay? Because I come up with ideas for sermons all the time, and some of them don't fit in any series that I do. And so I put it in a Tupperware, and I stick it in the fridge, and I'm like, maybe I'll use it at some point, and then I don't. And so I thought, I'm just going to do 4 random messages that I never got to that didn't really fit in any series, and we'll call it Leftovers. And hopefully it's good, because some leftovers, you already said, are pretty good. I don't know. But to start today's leftover topic, I want to tell you a story, and this true story. If you've been here for a while, you know that I'm a runner, and I'm a weirdo because I run for fun. Now, who thinks that's weird? Who thinks it's weird to run for fun? All right, listen, you think it's weird now? Those of you who raise your hand, listen. What if one day somebody's chasing you, and they're a bad guy? They're going to catch you, and you should have ran for fun. Okay, that's all I'm saying. And so I like to run, and I run on this trail by our house. And so 2 weeks ago, I was running on Sunday morning, and sometimes I run before church. And when I run on Sunday mornings, I'm doing a few things. I'm thinking about the message. I'm praying for you all. And sometimes I may or may not be listening to Guns N' Roses to get a little excited, okay? So don't worry about that part. But I'm running on the trail. I'm thinking about you all, and I'm having a good moment. And it's 2 weeks ago, and this is true. I'm mid-stride on my run, and I look down, and it looks like there's a stick where my foot is about to land. Then the stick moved, and my brain yelled, "Snake!" All right, is it yelled snake or another S word? I can't remember which one, but. And I hate snakes, okay? And so my foot is literally going to come right down on this danger noodle. It is on track for that. And I can only explain this through like I went into the fifth dimension or the Lord did something or I turned into a stuntman because as I am mid-stride, somehow I jumped. Again, like mid-stride, I jumped somehow to miss this 75-foot python. That was probably just a garden nose or hose or whatever. But I took off like a Southwest Airlines flight, okay? And I don't know if you know this, but they say when we are afraid, there's three types of people. We'll put this on the screen real quick, okay? There's you're either a flight person, a fight person, or a freeze person. And since I took off like a Southwest Airlines, I think you know what kind of person I am. And so I just want you to imagine you are me, and you're about to step on a snake, and I want to find out what kind of person you are, okay? And so if you are a flight person, let me see your hands, okay? All right, yeah, you all, listen, are we courageous when we see a snake? No. But are we going to be alive? Yes. How many of you are a fight person because you're not afraid of it? You're going to confront it. You're going to pick up the snake because you're a psychopath. You're going to toss it in the woods. Let me see your hands. You all got a screw loose, okay? So, well, you're in the right church. We got a lot of us around here with a screw loose. How many of you see a snake and you freeze? Who's freezing? Who's freezing? Oh, you all are definitely dead. Snake's definitely going to get you guys. But when you're afraid, when you see a snake, there's three types of people. There's flight, fight, or freeze. Now, I know. Some of you are like, well, this is great, but what's snakes got to do with me and Jesus? And would you get to the point, Joel? Because I got leftovers in my fridge, and I want to get to eat them at some point today. Here's my point. That was just my fun way of setting up today's leftover talk. Because just like there are three types of people when it comes to snakes, today I want to talk to you about, and we'll put this on the screen, I want to talk to you about the 5 types of people that come to our church. Because there are 5 types of people that come to our church. Did you guys know this? Okay, there's 5 types of people. Now, listen, when I say 5 types of people that come to our church, I'm not saying like, you have Pittsburgh Steelers fans and bad drivers and people who hate the shake hands time in the service and 15 minutes late people and Robbie. Out and yourself. Listen, I'm not saying, those are the 5 types of people that I'm talking about. Although those people are definitely here, Steelers fans and, Robbie late and all, like, those people are definitely here. But that's not where I'm heading with this. And I would bet you my lunch today, which I'm hoping is good, okay? Maybe Mission Barbecue, if I'm lucky. I don't know. But I bet you my lunch today that you are one of these 5 types of people. And what's crazy about this is you can find all 5 types of people that come to our church in one famous Jesus story. And the story is in the Gospel of Mark, which, by the way, if you don't have a Bible, we always give out Bibles around here for free. So if you don't have one, you can grab one in our lobby. But Mark is my favorite gospel. Preachers have favorites, okay? So Mark is my favorite because Mark is like, Mark's gospel is like an action movie. Matthew and Luke and John are kind of like documentaries, but then you have Mark, the Gospel of Mark, which is like a Mark Wahlberg action movie. Because by chapter 2, like Mark is Marky Mark in the action already, okay? And so if you're a little ADD like me, Mark is your book. And so in Mark chapter 2, Jesus comes to headquarters, which is Capernaum. So he comes to headquarters and he goes to this house party, and this house party, he's going to be the guest of honor, and it is packed. I'm talking packed. You can't fit one more person in this house party. There's a line outside. You can't get anybody else in. You can't even fit a rat fart in this place. It is full. It is full. And so Jesus, before the Capernaum cops come and break up this house party, Jesus gets the karaoke mic, and he starts preaching, and that's where we pick up in Mark chapter 2. Starting in verse 2, it says this: they gathered in such large numbers that there was no room left, not even outside the door. And he, Jesus, preached the word to them. Some men came bringing to him a paralyzed man carried by 4 of them. Since they could not get him to Jesus because of the crowd. Okay, this place was crowded because they were doing some crazy stuff to get their friend to Jesus, just like you guys do crazy stuff to get people here to church. All right, they got him to Jesus, and they made an opening in the roof above Jesus by digging through it, and then they lowered the mat the man was lying on. And when Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paralyzed man, "Son, your sins are forgiven." Now, I want to stop there. We'll keep reading a little bit, but I want you to picture this party. All right, just picture it. Okay, it is like, imagine this basement is the house. It is packed. There are people waiting to get in. There's a line like out on the steps waiting to get in. Do you guys need like a visual to help you see this? Okay, let me give you a visual. Okay, just imagine it's like this. This is not AI, people. This is real. Maybe you'll see yourself in the picture. I think I'm in this line because that's where the cotton candy station was. This line was people waiting to get into our church basement at Easter. And on Easter, we had 536 people who came to this basement. 536 people. The fire marshal says we can have 237 people. Don't tell him, okay? How many of you know we need a new building? And it is coming because it's coming. Anyway, so I'm showing you this picture because I want you to imagine how packed this house party is. There are people lining up outside to get into this house party, okay? And so, yeah, when you look at this passage that I just read you, I can already see 3 of the types of people who come to our church in just these 4 verses. And so let me just start to unpack this for you, all right? The first type of person that we see in these verses and we see coming to our church is, and we'll put this on the screen, someone in need. Everybody say someone in need. All right, Jess, would you mind putting that passage back up here? Okay, I'm curious if you guys can spot the person in need. Can anybody spot him? Thank you, Ed. I highlighted it for you because this is Bay Shore, okay? But the paralyzed man is in need, okay? Now, here's the thing. We don't know his name. All we know is he has a mat. And so let's just, I don't know, come up with a name for him. Matt. Matt, because Matt has a mat. So we'll just call him Matt, okay? That's how my brain works. And so Matt needs some help to get to this Jesus house party. Like, he can't get there without some friends taking there. And so he is in need, right? Now, here's what we know around here. Every single Sunday, some of you all show up in need. You show up in need. Like, it makes me think of last weekend. If you were here last weekend, I kind of went Dr. Phil on you. And I talked about my depression story, and I talked about mental health and all that. And apparently some of you all needed to hear that because my email inbox and my phone text message box blew up this week with people saying, hey, I needed to hear that. And I thought after the service last week, I was standing out in the lobby, and there was a lot of people who didn't really want to identify themselves that they needed to hear that. But I saw a lot of you made eye contact with me in the lobby, like, shh. And I'm in the corner doing baseball signals. I'm like, but true story, one guy was not ashamed, and he ran up to me, and he just hugged me in the lobby, okay? And it was a tight hug. I was a little worried. I looked at church security. I'm like, get him. But he let go, and he looked at me, and he said, I needed that today. And then he walked away. Was he in need? He was in need, okay? Another story that sticks out to me. Years ago, we have some of my friends that come here, Tim and Carrie. Carrie's in the room right here, and Tim's not right now, but in case I didn't know which service you're going to be in, Carrie. And so this is Tim and Carrie. If you don't know these two people, they're amazing. Tim is the quietest person you'll ever meet. Carrie isn't. Carrie has a lot to say, and she does, okay? But I love Tim and Carrie, and I remember a few years ago, out of nowhere, the apartment complex caught on fire. And in a moment, they lost everything but the shirt on their back. And so their family came to church that weekend, and they didn't really know what to do, and so they needed some encouragement. But beyond encouragement, you know what they really needed? They needed a place to live. They needed first and last month's rent. They needed a security deposit. They needed clothes. They needed socks. They needed stuff for their kids. They needed all that. And because you guys as a church are so generous, and you give here regularly, and I'm so grateful for that, as a church, we were able to find them a place, pay their bills to get in that place, get them a Walmart gift card to get all the clothes and stuff that they need because they had a need. And Carrie when I asked her if I could tell that story, she's like, absolutely. She said, every time you are talking on the stage, I want to just stand up and say, this church is family. They took care of my need. And so I just want to thank you for taking care of Tim and Carrie. They're awesome. And here's the thing. When you have a need, church is a great place to go. It's a great place to be, okay? If you're stressed out and you need some perspective, parents, I'm talking about you. You need church. If you lost a loved one and you need comfort, church. If you're depressed and you need joy, church. I try to tell jokes, and a lot of them are funny, but I'm trying to give you some joy. If you're struggling with addiction and you're like Mr. Saturday Night in Dewey Beach, okay, and you need to rein it in, church. If you're lonely and you need someone to talk to, Carrie. At our church. Because if you have a need, this place is a judgment-free zone and a great place to be. I don't know if you've noticed, but the last month we've added worship. We added prayer in our worship. I don't know if you noticed that. If you guys noticed it, do you guys like it? Yeah. Oh, good. Introverts are like, nope, I don't like it. Carrie's like, I love it. But we do that because we know every week people show up in need. And as a church family, we want to surround you. We don't want to freak you out. But if we can just surround you and pray for you, we want to do that. Because church is a great place to go when you are in need. And someone is here in need. Here's another group of people that come to our church. Someone who cares. Now, I would bet you my second favorite dog. I only have two, so poor Charlie. Okay, I would bet you, Charlie, that right now you are sitting near someone and you don't know it, but they definitely care. It makes you think of last year I got done preaching. I was standing right here, kind of next to where Jay is, and I was standing here, and a guy came up to me, and he was like, hey, Joel, he said, I want to help get people or kids to VBS who can't get to VBS. And so he's like, how about this? How about I rent a school bus and we drive all over Sussex County and we pick up a bunch of kids who can't get to VBS and we get them to VBS. I'll foot the whole bill. And by the way, we couldn't really figure out logistically how to do that, but maybe next year. But that guy cared enough about kids that he wanted to do that, right? Here's another example. I got a text message on Monday. This is true. Somebody texted me and they said, hey, I want our church to go above ground so much, I'm going to dedicate 50% of my salary this year to go above ground. 50% of my salary. And they're like, I'm a little freaked out to pledge it, but I'm doing it. I'm going to dedicate 50% of my salary to go above ground. Now, by the way, if you're here and you too would like to dedicate 50% of your salary and you need help being pushed over the edge, listen, we'll put your statue in the new lobby. We'll embroider your name on the seats. I'll get your name tattooed right under my eye. Okay, whatever we got to do. But those last two stories about VBS and go above ground, they may or may not be the same person. I'll never tell. I kind of just told. But do you think they care about our church and about you? Yeah, and you didn't know it. They're right next to you. They're right next to you. Another example of that is, do you know we have 150 volunteers at our campus alone? 150 volunteers. The band today, volunteers. Production team, volunteers. Bay Shore Kids, people, volunteers. All those door greeters, at least 187 door greeters, at least. Volunteers, okay? We have volunteers who clean this place during the week, okay? I'm talking about Barb. We have a picture of Barb that we'll put up there. Okay, this is Barb. You were wondering how these windows got so clean in the lobby. Barb, and I wish Barb could hear this, but Barb is volunteering in Bay Shore Kids right now, so she can't hear it, okay, because she is amazing. But we have on average around 275 people who come to our church, and we have 150 volunteers. That's over 50%. I've never heard of a church in the world that has over a 50% volunteer ratio. That is insane. But you all care. And I'm so thankful for that. And there's some people in the story that we read that care. And we'll put that passage up there. I highlighted it for the left side to see if you could figure out. Who do you think cared? Who cared? The four of them. I call them the four amigos. Everybody say the four amigos. Now, the four amigos, we don't know how far they had to carry their friend. We don't know how heavy Matt was. We don't know if the four amigos lifted weights or not. But I do know sometimes with the heavy Aldi grocery bags that we have, like sometimes I take a break in my garage when Stacey's not looking because some of the bags are heavy. But these guys carried by hand, not Aldi grocery bags, they carried their friend to this house party because they definitely cared. And I'm so proud of this church because you are the most caring group of people that I have ever met in my life. And if you need someone to care, the basement is a great place to be. Another group of people that shows up in this story and in our church is someone who was invited. Now, who here is here because you were invited by somebody? Just raise your hands, and we'll say Google counts. We'll count Google as an actual person nowadays. Look at this. Oh, my goodness. Church, you were so good at inviting people. You were so good. And I could tell you a million invite stories, but I'm going to just tell you one that makes me laugh a little bit. It's a recent one. And I kind of told part of this story back around Easter. If you remember, at Easter, we had these Easter invite cards. You guys remember that? We gave out Easter invite cards. And one day we got a call around Easter from a local grocery store, and we got a voicemail. And it wasn't a happy voicemail. Okay, like if Mark is like an action movie, you know, the Gospel of Mark is an action movie, this voicemail was like the Shining movie. Like I think the person yelled, "Here's Johnny," a few times in the voice. Like they were not happy. And they said on the voicemail, they're like, "I don't know what's going on at your church, but I got all these invite cards sprinkled all over my grocery store." They're by the cat litter, they're by the bananas, they're in the women's bathroom stalls, and the person said, "You need to get your people under control." And I thought, have you met our people? Listen, I can't even get you all to not park in Casapula's parking spots. I can't control what you're doing at the kitty litter section in the local grocery store. But I kind of love it. And anyway, I think that story is connected to this story. We're in a text group, our staff is, and a couple weeks ago, Kristen sent a picture in our text group that somebody had sent her that we'll put up on the screen real quick, and I'll try to read this to you. This picture that was sent to Kristen says, "I spy with my little eye a Bay Shore invite at the gyno." There's the invite card. I didn't do it. But you all are leaving no stone unturned, and I could not be more proud. Listen, you all are incredible at bringing people to our church. And in this story, there was some invitation happening as well. And so if we could put that passage back up here. Everybody say the crowd. How did the crowd get there? There were invites at the Capernaum gynecologist's office. No, they were inviting people. That's how this house got so crowded. It was word of mouth, baby. And listen, outside of Google, the reason people keep showing up here for the first, second, third, fourth time is because you keep inviting them. You keep bringing them. You keep saying, "Hey, I'm going to take you to IHOP," and you pick them up, and then you trick them, and you bring them here. And I 1,000% believe that heaven is going to be more crowded because you all are inviting people to this church. Do you know that in the past 11 years, we've seen over 500 people in this basement get off the Hell Express and say yes to Jesus, and they will spend eternity in heaven. Over 500 people. 500 people. And just so you don't email me, yes, Jesus did that. But they wouldn't have been here if you didn't invite them here. And just so you know, when you invite your friends here, we will do anything short of sin to share Jesus with them, okay? Because we think if you want to reach people no one is reaching, you got to be willing to do things nobody else is doing, which is why on Dad's Day, we had an axe throwing truck up there. And if you saw, the axe throwing truck was called Kiss My Axe. We didn't name it, okay? And then we opened up that service with My Hero by Foo Fighters, and we gave out beef jerky to dads. It was great, but you know what was best? 3 dads gave their life to Jesus on Dad's Day. That's what's best. Because we are going to do anything short of sin to share Jesus with the people that you bring here. And so I just want to tell you, keep bringing them. Keep inviting them. Keep asking them to come, because our dream as a church is to make heaven more crowded so that you can see the people you love most next to you in heaven. Now, real talk, you might be like, well, I have this friend, and there ain't no way they're ever going to come to church. Like, I would donate 50% of my salary if they came to church, because it ain't happening. Come on, you have somebody like that in your life. You have somebody like that. We all do. I just want to remind you that with God, there's always a way. There's always a way. I mean, think about this story, all right? These guys could not get their friend to Jesus, right? And so, like, the 4 amigos, they carry him to Jesus. It's so crowded, they can't get him in, so they have to, like, airlift him up onto the roof of the house. And the roof of the house, you know, let's imagine, again, that the basement is the house, okay? We're packed out. There's people everywhere. They can't get this guy in. And so they go to the roof. And so our roof would be Casapoulas. So they're in Casapoulas with the guy. It smells like subs. And so they're like, let's start ripping up the tile floor. Let's start digging, okay? And maybe drywall dust starts landing on your head, Kim. And you're like, what? Is there an earthquake? A Sussex County earthquake? What's happening? And they punch through, and like a big piece of drywall falls on your head, Kim. And they yell, hey, it's not an earthquake, it's us. We're up here. And they open up this hole, but they still got to get Matt into the room. And so they're like, the 4 amigos each grab an arm and a leg, you know, and they're put Matt through the hole. But Matt, all you're seeing is Matt's back. He's got 10 feet before he gets to the ground. And so amigo 1 is like, let's a little lower, guys. So they're like, they're stretching. And then amigo 2 is like, no, we're still like 8 feet from the ground. They're like, we got to go lower. So we're like, okay, lower. They're all going lower. And amigo 3 looks and he's like, we got at least 6 feet before Matt gets to the ground. I don't know how we're going to do this. But he's already paralyzed. What's the worst that could happen? So on 3, they drop him. 1, 2, 3, boom. That's how I read the Bible. Anyway. Even though it seemed impossible, they got their friend to Jesus. Because with God, there's always, every single time, a way. And so, if you've been inviting somebody and they haven't come, keep asking. Keep praying. Keep inviting them. Okay, trick them and say, you're going to Casapoulas and dig a hole in the floor and push them through the hole. I don't know. But keep on inviting him. And here's why it's worth all that hard work. All right, when they get Matt to Jesus, it says this in verse 5. It says, when Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paralyzed man, son, your sins are forgiven. Which is the greatest miracle in this story, by the way. Not the fact that he walks in the end. And some of you didn't know he walked in the end, but that's a spoiler. He does walk in the end. Okay. But this is the greatest miracle. Now, question. How do you see faith? I thought faith was what you can't see. Nope. Jesus said you can see it. When you see faith in action, you can see it. Let me kind of explain like this. Last week after church, I went to my brother and sister-in-law's pool, and we don't have a pool, but I kind of ascribe to like pools are like boats. You know, you don't have to have one. You just got to know someone with one. Anybody like that? You're a pool moocher? Yeah, so I was mooching on the pool, and we were there, and my son Nixon had brought his football, his favorite football, and we have probably thrown this football to each other in the last 5 years, 5,000 passes. We're always throwing this ball to each other, and Nixon can throw a perfect spiral. I mean, the best spiral. I'm not talking like a Dak Prescott Cowboys, wounded duck throw. That's for you Eagles fans. That's for you from your favorite Baltimore Ravens fans. Anyway, but Nixon can throw a perfect spiral, and so we're playing catch, and so I'm gonna throw this to somebody. Oh yeah, you're ready. You did it earlier. Oh Jesus, a TV. Okay, here we go. Boom. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. So Nixon, he threw the ball like I just threw it to you, except a lot better. Okay. He went back and he tossed it to the moon, and it didn't land in the pool or in someone's hands, and it didn't land on the moon. That ball landed in a poison ivy patch. Yeah, he just. No, not that ball. I tricked you. This ball landed in a poison ivy patch. That ball was perfectly fine, but you can throw it back to me. Let's see how your throw is. Oh, perfect. All right, so this was a ball that landed in a poison ivy patch. And listen, I've gone 41 years of my life without poison ivy. Who's had poison ivy? Is it bad? Bad? Has anybody not had it? You want to try it? You want to try this? Just kidding. I use bleach and wiped this thing clear, and I prayed over it, so I don't think it has poison ivy on it. But at the moment, it was sitting in this giant poison ivy patch, and my brother was like, listen, it's got poison all over it. And so this is our favorite ball. So I'm like, great, And so I got this post that was in the neighbor's yard of his, and I used it to get the ball out of the poison ivy. And then I had to pick up the ball, and so I took my boy Nixon's dinosaur towel. And I was like, okay, maybe this will work. And so I picked up the ball like this. And so now I had the ball in my hands with just this towel, the dinosaur towel, protecting me, hopefully, from the poison. I put all my trust in this dinosaur towel. And so could the family see that my faith in action in this towel was in this towel? Could they see that? Yes, okay. And I have this towel because I don't want to look like, Will Smith and Hitch, that this video. You remember this right here? I don't want to be this guy. I don't want to be in Walgreens with my whole face swollen. And so I put my face. I don't want to be this guy. I didn't want to be Will Smith. So I put my faith in this towel. You can see my faith in action. And listen, in this story, their faith was so strong, you could see it in action. You could see it in action. And I just want to tell you, church, when I see you, I see your faith. I see your faith. I see your faith the way you show up in the summer traffic to church. I see your faith. I see your faith in the way that you give here. I see your faith in the way that you sing here. Even when you show up and you don't want to sing, you sing anyway. I see your faith in the way you keep inviting people here time after time after time. I see your faith in the way that you volunteer. It makes me think of Jen Reed, who's one of our volunteers. We'll put Jen's picture on the screen. When this woman sings, she's, by the way, a single mom. When she sings on a Sunday morning, she sets her alarm for 4:30 in the morning so she can practice and so she can get her daughter Brooklyn ready to come to church. I see Jen's faith. And when I look at you all, I see your faith. And I'm so thankful for you all. And when Jesus saw their faith, he showed them a miracle. And then, now if you're counting, you're probably like, okay, we're only at 3 types of people who come to church, and you got 5, and you need to hurry it up, Pastor. So let me breeze through the last 2, okay? All right, the last 2 starts with Mark chapter 2, starting in verse 6. It says, now some teachers of the law were sitting there thinking to themselves, why does this fellow talk like that? He's blaspheming. Who can forgive sins but God alone? And music is so loud in the church. And I wonder how much that baptism water costs that is in the baptismal pool. And I don't think we really need a new building anyway. Nah. Because the fourth type of person who comes to our church is someone who's critical. No, don't point. I could do a 7-part series on this right here. But I am not going to do that, all right? I'm trying to stay positive today. And listen, if you're a critical person, I know our church isn't perfect. I know I am not perfect. I know if you're looking for something to criticize, you can find it. We are not perfect, but we know who is perfect. And Jesus is the CEO of this church. Jesus will always be the CEO of this church. And when we aren't perfect, we are going to point to Jesus every single time. Because we're not perfect. And so if you're a critical person, I don't want to fight with you. We love you. We're glad you're here. And I just want to show you how this story ends because I don't want to be critical of critical people today. That's not what I want to do. But I do want to show you what happens when the four amigos get Matthew to Jesus. And so this is what perfect Jesus does. He says to him in verse 10, to the man who's paralyzed, to Matt, he says, I tell you, get up, take your mat, and go home. He got up. He took his mat and he walked out in full view of them all. This amazed who? Everyone. And they praised God saying, we have never seen anything like this. And now Matt, who got his name because he had a mat, no longer has a mat. Why? Because it's impossible to experience Jesus and not change. It's impossible to experience Jesus and not change. Matt got a new name and no Matt after he experienced Jesus. This is why on our lobby in big, bright orange letters, it says, Jesus changes everything. Because it's impossible to experience Jesus and not change. And if you want to change, your life in some way, keep showing up. Keep showing up here. Keep showing up. Do you know the average person who attends church, the average churchgoer goes to church once every 6 weeks? That is 8 times a year. And I'm not like slamming everybody. I know everybody's busy. I'm preaching to the choir. You guys are in church. But I do want to tell you, if you want to change more, keep showing up more. Because it's impossible to experience Jesus in this place and not change. And so the last type of person that comes to this church is, like we just highlighted in this story, everyone. It's everyone. Because we are all someone who can be changed. And I look around this room, and I have seen over the years so many of you change. I see so many of you who are changing. And I thought about ending with that. Okay, I thought about like getting all hyper up here and being like, I've seen that you've changed, and I've seen that you've changed, and I've seen that you've changed, Davion. I've seen. I wanted to do all that, and I could get you all hyper up here. But something hit me this week in this story that I have never seen before. And so I just want to show you that. Now, I'm a simple person. I like t-shirts, I like cheeseburgers, and I like football. Okay, I'm simple. No, you have never walked out of here and been like, that man is deep. We don't have one Google review where somebody's like, now that's an intellectual pastor. None. Maybe he's a redneck or how to get his job. I don't know, but nobody's like claiming me being deep. All right, I'm a simple person. I'm okay with that. But something in the story, very simple, hit me this week, and just go with me on this. Like the place is packed. The house is packed that Jesus is in, and it's more packed than Rehoboth Beach is going to be on Thursday night. You know, it's packed. And let me just ask you this. Who wasn't there? Who don't you see there? And don't overthink this. This is not deep. This is simple. Who don't you see in the crowd? You don't see the people who aren't there. Simple, right? You don't see who's not there. And all week long, I thought, I want to see the people who aren't in our church yet. I want to see them. I want to picture them. I want to see them in these few empty seats. I want to see those people. I want to see this place full of your friends and your family and your neighbors. I want to see them in these. I want to see them. I was meeting with my brother a couple weeks ago, and my brother is the one who's designing our new building, which, by the way, would you guys like to see a picture of our new building? Would you like to see it? I just got you all hyped up. This fall, we're going to show it to you. Full fly through the whole thing. It's going to be amazing. No, for real, we're going to show it to you this fall. But I was working with my brother on these plans, and we're seeing a fly through of the plans. My wife was there, and Tim said to me, he's like, you know this building's coming. You know it's coming, right? It's happening. And he could see it. And what I saw our future auditorium, which is going to have 400 seats, 2 levels, bougie. I saw 6 state-of-the-art kids' classrooms for our future Bay Shore kids, where your kids and our grandkids are going to learn about Jesus. But on those empty plans, I mainly saw person after person and kid after kid showing up and being changed by Jesus. And it's going to happen. If you can't see it, I'm just telling you, like my brother said, it's going to happen. Why? Because we're always going to have people who show up at our church. We're going to have someone in need. We're going to have someone who cares. We're going to have someone who is invited. We're going to have someone who's been critical. And that's okay. That's okay if you're critical. And that's okay because Jesus, I feel like, can change all of us. Our family, our friends, our neighbors, our coworkers, us, our community. Because we're all someone who needs to be changed. Because Jesus, this is what we believe around here. Just if you're like, I'm new here, I don't really know what this church believes, I'll sum it up in 3 words. Jesus changes everything. That's what we believe. Jesus changes everything. And if you've never accepted Jesus, I think today is the best day in the world to accept Jesus. And so if you guys don't mind just bowing your heads, if you've never crossed that line of faith where Jesus is your Savior, where he can change everything in your life, this is the day to do that. And it's a very simple thing where you just, you say, Jesus, I believe in you, that you're a son of God, and I want to follow you. And so if that's you, if you want to cross that line of faith and be someone who can be changed by Jesus, just raise your hand while no one's looking in this room. I see several hands going up in this room. This is your moment to raise your hand. I see that. Let's just all say this together. If you're a Jesus follower, let's not let these people who are just raising their hands accepting this, let's not let them say this alone. Let's say this together. Dear Jesus, today I'm accepting you. I believe you're the Son of God. And I believe I'm a sinner. But you died on a cross. And you walked out of a grave for my forgiveness. And so today, I accept you, Jesus. And I believe you change everything. In Jesus' name. And everybody said, amen, amen, amen. Can we just give it up for those who just accepted Jesus?